There's a version of London you see on the postcards. A city defined by iconic landmarks, monarchs, and black cabs.
This is London, baby. London, baby.
But if you live here or even just visit long enough, you realize this city is defined by one thing: movement. People are always moving, and to make that possible, London has one of the largest and complex transport systems in the world. Most expensive too, apparently. Then it got me thinking, if we're paying so much just to get from one point to another, what exactly is the best way to get around London? To answer this, I spent the past few weeks trying every major way to get around the city. I'll be ranking each mode of transport based on 5 categories: speed, connectivity, convenience or comfort, ease of use, and price. And to keep it fair, I'll be using my contactless card for all the journeys. Now let's get on with the video, starting with... Okay, so I'm currently at Odeon Greenwich, looking for a line bike, and I just saw one right in front of me. Alright, so this is the line bike parked. This is currently at IKEA, Odeon Greenwich, and you're supposed to scan a QR code. I'm going to use the app and see how easy it is to use. Okay, so you just get the bike, adjust it, scan the QR code, and I think you need to... Is it this way? Oops, this way. Ah. Okay, so the bike's actually really easy to use. Literally just scan the QR code and boom, tap, pay, start using the bikes. But since these bikes have motors on them, it actually makes riding so much more easy because you just cycle and the motors literally do all the work. Because it depends on your ability to ride a bike, you need to know how to ride a bike if you can use line bikes. So because of that, I would give it 3 for ease of use. Really easy to use, but you need to know how to ride a bike as a prerequisite. Okay, so I just finished about a 10-minute cycle from Odeon Greenwich to Cutty-Sack. It has a maximum speed of 15.5 miles per hour, 25 kilometers per hour. I'll give it a 3.5 for speed. Because it's a bike, you are the only one on the bike, so you don't have other people surrounding you. So if you don't like people, if that's the thing that, you consider when you go out, a bike, you're on your own. But also, because it's a bike, you're also left under the elements. As you can see, it's scorching hot and I'm starting to sweat. So if it's sunny, it's going to be sunny. If it's cold, you're going to feel cold. So the convenience really depends on what the weather is like. And we know what UK weather is like. I would give it 3 for comfort or convenience. So it's currently telling me to park at a safe location. So it's all in app. It's giving me directions to where I can park. Currently 0.1 miles away, so that's where I'm going to be cycling to, and I'm going to end my journey once I park in that location. I was able to park the bike, and unlike Santander bikes, with Lime, you can actually park at designated parking spots. You don't necessarily need to have like a parking dock for you to park your bike. So you can park at designated parking spots around the city. But one thing that actually shocked me is that the entire journey cost me £10.65, which I was not expecting. It was £3 for the first 20 minutes, then 17p for every minute after that. And 17p doesn't seem like a lot here, but it adds up because I was on the bike for about an hour. So £10.65 for an hour through Greenwich, I don't think that price tag is justified. And yeah, because of that, I'm going to be rating it 2/5 for pricing. I don't think anything justifies £10 for an hour within the same borough. Now that's ridiculous. The bike's actually very good if you're in central London or the more touristy parts of London, basically zones 1 to 3. But beyond zone 3, the bikes become a bit more scarce to find. And in some segments of your trip, you're going to have to carry your bike, you're going to have to walk with your bike because you've entered the no cycling zone or you're within one of the restricted areas of Lime. With a 3 out of 5 for connectivity, that brings Lime Bike's total to 14.5 out of 25, making it the first official entry on the board. But let's see how the next one fares. If you just tap in, that's all, just tap in. I think since it's a single trip, I'm probably gonna have to tap out at the other end. But yeah, the queue was non-existent. I literally just walked in. There's no operator. I've got a whole cable car to myself, and yeah, here we go. IFS Cloud Cable Car opened initially on the 28th of June 2012 as the Emirates airline for the London Olympics, but it was changed in 2022 after it was bought by IFS. So the cable car peaks at 90 meters above the Thames, so you can get some nice views, but if I'm being totally honest, the views are not exceptional. I mean, it's quite decent for what it is here, but the views are okay. IFS Cloud runs from Greenwich Peninsula to the Royal Docks, and it takes about 5 minutes. I'm already descending down right now. Oh my gosh. In terms of ease of use, I literally just had to walk up to the line and tap my card. It's pretty easy to use, so I'll give it a 4/5 for ease of use. For convenience, I'm literally the only one in this cable car, so I'll give it 4/5 for convenience as well. That literally took like 5 minutes. Oh my gosh. Probably took less than that. If I'm being honest, that was quite underwhelming. It's got a gift shop. Hi sir, can I step in?
Yeah, this is open, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
No worries at all.
Okay, so I'm at the cable car gift shop. I don't know why they have a gift shop. I don't know why they have a gift shop. So today was actually really quick. It took about 5 minutes in total to cross the Thames. So for speed, for what it is, right, I'll give it a 4/5 for speed because that was really quick. For a single trip for adults, it costs £7, and for children it costs £3.50. While for a return trip, it costs £13 for adults and £6.50 for children. Which, I mean, it's not terrible, but it's still quite expensive for a one-way trip across the River Thames when I could just walk it for free. So because of that, I'm going to be rating it 2/5 for the price. Okay, so for connectivity, I mean, it only serves one purpose, which is to get from one side of the River Thames to another. It doesn't really connect any other part of London, so I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to give it a 1/5 for connectivity. It's really more of a tourist attraction than it is an actual means of public transport. With a total score of 14 out of 25, the IFS Cloud Cable Car lands just behind the Line bikes, but I'm sure this next one will challenge for that top spot. I'm at the docking point now, docking point E, and the boats should be here in 5 minutes. So the Uber boat by Thames Slippers is operated by Thames Slippers but sponsored by Uber. It's sort of like IFS Cloud and the cable car. It began operation in 2020. So this isn't your regular commute. It's part ferry, part sightseeing, and yes, it's technically part of TfL. They have a fleet of 24 boats, which run roughly every 30 to 45 minutes, connecting key landmarks like Greenwich, Canary Wharf, and London Eye. So the Uber boat only follows the river. So unless you live or work near the Thames, it's not ideal for daily commuting. But it does stretch along the river, not the whole river, but the important parts at least. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to give it a 2.5 for connectivity, only because it's along a single path and it doesn't branch out like other means of public transport. So I'm just chilling with the bar, Tazi bar in the middle of the booth. So plus points for comfort, I guess. I think that's fine. Which one? Oops. Yeah, that's fine. We're good?
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Now, as you can see, the boat is relatively empty. I'm sure this is during off-peak hours, so for comfort and convenience, the fact that the boat is empty, I was literally standing up to film loads of different B-roll, and I wasn't disturbing anyone. I didn't feel too weird, and I could literally sit anywhere I want on the boat. And yeah, the fact that there's also a freaking bar and mini mart on board, I have to give it 5/5 for comfort. It doesn't get much more comfortable than this, unless you actually enter a plane. Okay, and here we are back at Greenwich. I departed from London Eye or London Waterloo, and I'm here at Greenwich Cuttisack, somewhere there. So I'm here at Greenwich Cuttisack, and it took about 40 minutes in total. And moving from central London to East London within 40 minutes isn't bad at all, considering that there were also a bunch of stops in between. The boat went at a relatively steady pace, but there were some instances where the captain made an announcement that the boat was going to be speeding up, so we should buckle up or get to our seats. Pretty fast. Pretty fast. I'm going to be giving it a 3/5 for speed. Could actually buy a ticket in advance, which might be cheaper, I don't know. But from London Waterloo to Greenwich Cul-de-sac was about £9 for me, which already is cheaper than the line bike. So that's already a win, and it's a much better value for money in my opinion. It's not the cheapest, but at the same time it's not so expensive. Most locals and tourists would be able to afford it, so 3/5. And with a 3.5 for ease of use, the Uber boat gets a total score of 17, which is enough to land it in first place, but I'm not sure if it's going to remain there after this next one. If there's anything more iconic than the London Eye or Big Ben, it's definitely London's red double-decker buses. It's a symbol of London recognized globally, but behind its cultural significance lies a really powerful transport system. With almost 9,000 buses running across 675 routes, the London bus network is one of the most extensive and most connected in the world. The buses are numbered, some with letters like N for Night Bus, X for Express, and SL for Superloop. If you've got time, you can get anywhere you want to in London within 3 to 4 buses, and unlike the tubes, you actually get to see the city. 5/5. Although they have designated bus lanes for most roads in London, the buses aren't winning any races in traffic, especially during rush hour. Pair this with constant stops and you might be on the bus for well over an hour in most roads. Still, for short distances or off-peak times, they are not bad. 2/5 for speed. The price is where the London buses really shine, and with the hopper fare, you get unlimited journeys for just £175. When you tap in on the bus, you can make as many journeys as you want for free within 1 hour of first tapping in, as long as you use the same card for all your journeys. 5/5 for price. So the comfort really depends on when you decide to get on the bus and which bus you use. As you can see, the bus is totally empty behind me. It's pretty comfortable. I can sit wherever I want to sit. I can take a nap on the chairs if I want to. During peak times, the buses get really full and it's very hard for you to find a seat. But generally speaking, you'd most likely get a seat on most bus routes. For comfort, I'll give it a 3/5. One of the annoying parts about using the bus in London is that sometimes the bus can actually terminate its journey at a stop it's not supposed to end its journey at. And the driver would literally put up a sign saying this bus terminates here. So everyone from the bus would have to get down and wait for the next available bus. It doesn't happen super often, but when it does happen, it's really annoying because that's an extra 5 to 10 minutes of delay that you didn't factor in for. So that's something you need to consider if you're going to be taking the bus in London. For ease of use, this might be the easiest public transport to use. There's a TfL app which tells you when the bus is arriving, or you could also use the Google Maps. Both of these are fairly accurate. But there's usually a digital board on top of each stop, so you don't even have to use your phone. You just need to tap in and you're good to go. There is no need to tap out while on the bus. This easily gets a 5 for ease of use. That gives the buses a total score of 20 out of 25, comfortably taking the lead for now. But would that be enough to secure their place as the best way to travel within London? Keep watching to find out. So the tram, or the London Tramlink, is a network of 35 trams over 28 kilometers of rail found in South London. It serves mainly Croydon and surrounding areas, but it has an estimated 20 million annual users. Trams can only be found in south or southwestern parts of London, so it doesn't really serve any other parts besides those areas. So connectivity, 2/5. The trams are also relatively easy to use, literally just tap in like the buses. You don't need to tap out. But although it's not quite as intuitive as the buses, so I'm going to give it a 4/5 for ease of use. So the price is where the trams really get its flowers, because similar to the buses, each trip is 175 and it's also included in the hopper's fare. So you can take multiple buses and trams for the same 175 so far as you tap in within an hour. And like the buses, it's also capped at 525 for a day trip. For price, 5/5. You have to tap out. So tap in, tap out. The tram has a maximum speed of 80 kilometers per hour, but averages 20 to 25 kilometers per hour. I don't know why. Probably for safety reasons, if I'm guessing, because you also have the tram lines on the road. So that would be my guess. I went from East Croydon to Wimbledon and it took about 30 minutes. It also has a lot of stops, but the stops are not as frequent as the bus stops. It's definitely faster than the bus, but it's not as fast as the train, so 3.5 for speed. It was quite convenient and comfortable. My trip wasn't that crowded, so I thought it was really comfortable. But I did have to take 2 buses from where I was coming from to take the tram, so that's not really convenient, is it? So 2 for convenience. The tram gets a total score of 17.5, enough for second place, but would it remain there after this next one? Similar to the London red double-decker buses, the classic black cab is another one of London's symbols. These taxis have been a part of the city's streets for over a century, and the modern ones are mostly electric now. They are regulated by TfL, and unlike private hire services, the London black cab is the only vehicle allowed to pick you up straight off the streets. Drivers go through one of the toughest training processes of any city in the world. They call it the knowledge. It was introduced as a requirement for taxi drivers in 1865, and mastering it can take students up to 4 years. It's a rigorous test that requires memorizing over 25,000 streets and thousands of landmarks across London. Hi, I'm going to Victoria. Victoria? Yes. Yeah, Victoria Station. Oh, that's where you're going? Yeah. You know, this is actually my first time on the taxi. Yeah, so this is my first time in London taxi. Like, I'm coming from Nigeria, but I've been in London for about 10 months now. 10 months? Yeah. I heard that London taxi drivers need to know the entire map of London. Is that true? So you know every street in London?
Almost like 6 miles.
Wow. From central London, so you know like everywhere within a 6-mile radius. Wow. How long did it take you to complete the training? Wow. So 3 to 4 years. Wow. So the cabs are pretty straightforward to use. No need for queues or monitoring any departure schedules. You literally just have to find one on the street, hail and hop, and it's that simple. They are legally required to accept card payments, but if you prefer cash, you can use that as well. So 4.5 for ease of use. The cabs are extremely comfortable and convenient, especially in the right context. As you can see, I'm the only one here, but if you're traveling with family, then there's enough space for all of you to sit comfortably. It's useful if you're in a rush, it's raining and you're carrying heavy luggage and there's no bus, but you can't pre-book them or know when they'll be available, so 3/5. So you find the black cabs all over London, especially zones 1 to 3, airports and landmarks, but they become less frequent once you start getting further out. So yes, technically they can take you anywhere within the city, but finding one could be a bit difficult depending on where you are in the city, so 3.5 for connectivity. Okay, is that good? Thank you. I actually just spent £18 on a cab for a 10-minute journey. £18.
I was in Bournemouth for 1 day.
So the price is definitely the biggest drawback of the London black cab. It is definitely the most expensive form of public travel within the city. I went from Piccadilly Square to London Victoria and it took about 10 minutes and it cost me £18, which is ridiculous. Thinking about it is ridiculous. It's a very quick option provided there's not a lot of traffic, and it's also really convenient. It's definitely a luxury option, but it's not something that I would use every day. So because of that, I'm going to have to give it a 1 for the price. The cabs are surprisingly fast, especially within central London, and the cabs can also use the bus lanes, but they are still prone to London traffic, which can get really crazy. So for speed, I'm going to have to give it a 3.5. Taxis earn a respectable 15.5, placing them in 4th, just ahead of the IFS Cloud Cable Car and Line bikes. But up next is a real heavyweight in London's transport game, the train. How does it compare? Let's find out. Now, when it comes to trains in London, there's a lot going on. You've got the National Rail, the London Underground and the Overground network, but in order for this video to not be 2 hours long, I'll be focusing on the London Underground. If this video gets 500 likes, I'll make a part 2 where I rank all the train lines in London from best to worst. So if you want to see that, make sure you smash that like button. With almost 300 stations across 11 lines, connectivity is where the London Underground dominates. You're never more than a 10-minute walk away from a station within zones 1 to 3. It also connects smoothly with National Rail services, but out of the 272 stations connected to the London Underground, only 31 are south of the River Thames, which raises a very interesting question as to why that is. I'll be exploring this in an upcoming video, so make sure to turn on post notifications so you don't miss it. The train lines are very connected, but the London Underground is found mainly north of the Thames. 4/5. So the London Underground, commonly known as the Tube, is the backbone of the London transport system. It is the oldest underground railway in the world, dating back to 1863. Today it spans 272 stations across 11 lines. In 2024 it was used for 1.2 billion passenger journeys. It is operated by TfL and connects with nearly every other form of public transport, from the national rail to buses, trams, and even airports. In terms of comfort here, the trains run roughly every 2 to 7 minutes and about 100 seconds during peak time on the Victoria line. Because some other lines don't have air conditioning, it gets a bit stuffy, especially during peak hours, and there are a lot of people, so you can't find a seat. And it's hot, everyone is sweaty, so it gets a bit uncomfortable during the summertime. So I would give it a 3.5 for convenience. Really, really efficient, but rather uncomfortable during the summertime. So the tube is more expensive than the bus, but it's still very affordable when using contactless or Oyster. The fares are zoned, so the more zones you cross, the more you pay. But there is a daily and a weekly cap, and it's also much cheaper than taking a taxi, so I'll give it 3.5 for price. So the train is one of the fastest ways to get around London, especially during peak hours. The trains can reach a speed of up to 60 miles per hour, and frequent departures mean you're not waiting for too long at the station for the next train, so I'm going to have to give it a 5 for speed. For a first timer, the tube map may look a bit overwhelming, but it's actually quite intuitive once you get used to it. There's clear signage in all the stations, and like other forms of public transport, you can use your contactless or Oyster card to tap in. But always remember to tap out because some stations don't have those barricades, so if you don't tap out, you're going to get penalized. 3.5 for ease of use. With a final score of 19 out of 25, trains fall just short of the top spot, coming in at a very solid second place, right behind the buses. Still, they remain one of the fastest and most reliable ways to get around London, especially when you're covering long distances. So after putting London's major transport systems to the test, buses come out on top, followed closely by the trains. But here's the thing, what's best often depends on where you're going, how much time you've got, and what matters most to you. Whether it's the view from the Uber boat, the spontaneity of a line bike, or the underground efficiency of the tube, you have options with TfL. Let me know if you agree with my ranking, what you would change, or what ranking criteria you would have used. I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, share it with someone navigating London for the first time. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell icon to be notified when I next upload, and with that being said, thanks for watching.